Welcome to Charter Local Edition Northwest. I'm your host, Dana Cowley, and today we're in Kennewick, and we're talking to our Washington leaders about the progress they're making for you. My guest today is our Republican Senator, Sharon Brown. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to be with you.
Let's talk about what you're working on as far as bringing some nuclear energy and particularly the small modular reactors to the Tri-Cities area.
We have such a great opportunity here in the Tri-Cities and across the state to embrace this technology, not just for the technology itself, but also for the supply chain opportunities.
I think most people in the Tri-Cities know more about nuclear power than many places because of the work at Hanford, Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, of course, Energy Northwest. But do you think people really know how a small modular nuclear reactor works, and can you explain that to us, please?
That is a great question. You know, a lot of people really don't understand what a small modular reactor is. A lot of people have said to me, well, I don't want that in my backyard, and I'm thinking, well, that's good because it wouldn't fit in your backyard unless you've got several acres that you can plunk it down into. It does have a smaller footprint than some of our larger commercial nuclear reactors do, but a small modular reactor is a plug-and-play type of design. For example, the NuScale design has several different modules that you can take and you can plug them in as you have an increased need for additional power.
And ballpark, where do you think something like that would be placed? How much would it take? How much do they generate?
You know, we have a great opportunity right here in the Tri-Cities to have one out at the Hanford site. We have a perfect area that would just work fine for a small modular reactor. And for a comparison, a small modular reactor would generate approximately 300 megawatts of power as opposed to a commercial reactor or a large commercial reactor which generates about over 1,000. So, and to put it in perspective a little bit, the city of Seattle would require approximately 1,000 megawatts to power the entire city.
And then of course there's continuing efforts to reduce dams and maybe remove dams, and if we go down that path, we need to find alternative sources of energy so that if we are going to be losing some of our hydroelectric power.
Well, and that also raises the conversation, this discussion about what's baseload power and what are intermittent sources of power. And so things like solar and wind are really intermittent sources of power. We have very few things available to us that aren't fossil fuels that are baseload sources of power. And one of those things is nuclear generation. And nuclear generation has zero carbon emissions, so it's really a great alternative for the environment. Not only can you produce power 24/7, 365, but you can do it in a manner that's actually helping the environment.
How does this pitch go, and what kind of support are you getting in the legislature to move ahead with this?
It's really unfortunate because a lot of people, as we discussed, don't really understand what small modular reactors are. They don't understand how safe the technology really is. And so there's a tendency to default back to some of the unfortunate incidents we've had in the past with large-scale commercial nuclear reactors. But as technology goes, we've learned so much from those incidents, and we've come so far and made this technology really safe. The NuScale design is actually designed to shelter in place. So if there's any kind of an incident, it just basically shuts down itself, and it's self-contained, and it's a very, very safe way to generate carbon-free electricity.
And so that will be on the agenda going into the upcoming legislative session.
I'm going to try and keep it front and center in people's minds because we're actually losing the battle a little bit to other states that surround us. Idaho's embracing the technology, Utah's embracing the technology. However, the state of Washington, we're kind of hanging out there waiting for other states to kind of take the lead. And that's unfortunate, especially when we've got the human capital right here in this state. We have nuclear engineers that are leaving the Tri-Cities to go work at NuScale Power in Corvallis in Oregon. And it's unfortunate to see that brain drain. We have the facilities here. Come on, Washington, let's embrace this.
And anything else you're working on for this upcoming session?
We have a lot of economic development legislation that we're continuing to work on. We've gotten little bites at the apple before in the past few years in the legislature, and we've been able to prove to the state of Washington how successful these programs are. We have companies, we have a company right here in the Tri-Cities that decided to stay in the Tri-Cities because of the incentives that we were able to give them through the legislature.
You know, those little things help. They do make a difference.
They really do make a difference.
And it's a big psychological boost, too. You know, you
Yes.
feel wanted, you feel appreciated, so I think that goes a long way for businesses.
And don't we just want to keep our talent here?
Yes, absolutely. Senator, thank you so much.
It was so great to be here. Thank you.
Appreciate it. This is your Senator Sharon Brown. I'm Dana Cowley. You're watching Charter Local Edition Northwest.